Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I am your host, Samuel. In this podcast, I interview top medical sales reps and leading medical sales executives across the entire country. And it doesn't matter what medical sales industry, from medical device to pharmaceutical to genetic testing to diagnostic lab, you name it. You will learn how to either break into the industry, be a top 5% performer within your role in sales, or climb the corporate ladder. Welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Medical Sales Podcast. I am your host, Samuel, and today we have with us another special guest, and he is very special because he was a client from the Medical Sales Career Builder program, and his name is Bradley Sadri. So Brad was a nurse that wanted to be a medical sales rep. His episode is quite the treat because he really didn't know where he wanted to go. He had the option to pursue FNP or pursue a career in medical sales. And when I met him, he was really torn. He was not sure which avenue made sense. And he really wanted medical sales, but he wasn't sure he'd be able to actually make it happen. He took a leap of faith. And we're going to talk about it in the episode, so I'm not going to give too much away. But long story short, of course, he joined the program, and his life has completely changed. He's in a completely new world. Today, he is a medical sales rep. And when he graduated our program, he graduated as a medical device sales rep. And he's living his best life. He absolutely loves his career, and his prospects for the future are bigger than he's ever imagined. But like I said, I'm over here talking about it, just talking, and I want to save it because we want to hear him talk about his experience. So, as always, thank you for listening to the Medical Sales Podcast, and I really do hope you enjoy this interview. Hey, Brad, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Excited to do this podcast with you.
Absolutely. Why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
All right. So my name is Brad Sadri. I live in Denver, Colorado, and I recently transitioned to a role in medical device, doing an amazing job where I essentially am a product specialist, and I support GYN surgical equipment and ORs all across the Southwest, all the way out to LA, and provide a lot of clinical and technical expertise to surgeons and OR teams to make sure they are masterful in their use of surgical technology.
Absolutely. And, this is a treat for me to have you on the show today because, Brad, you're not just a medical device sales rep. You're a medical device sales rep who used to be a nurse and went through the Medical Sales Career Builder program, which is our program. And you graduated in record time. I want to say within 2 months?
I think right at the 2-month mark.
Right at the 2-month mark.
This time I got the job offer.
Yep. And you got a job offer through our program. So, that's just a complete joy for me to have you on the show today. So let's talk about it. Take us back to where you were when you found us. Your education's a nurse. Tell us what kind of nurse you were and what were you going through before you found us?
Yeah. So I was a nurse in the operating room. It was a place I loved to be. I was specializing in robotic surgery. So I was working at a facility in Denver that specialized, was a Surgical Robotics Institute. And so we did Da Vinci robotic surgeries all day with all specialties. I loved it in many respects, but I was really wanted to grow in a lot of areas. And so I was gaining expertise and being a scrub in those cases, but with kind of a mindset towards becoming a first assist. And so in that process, I was already had about a year under my belt of an NP program. Because I kind of had intended that if I was going to grow, become an expert and be as much involved in the process as possible, it was going to take more education. And so that was going to be another 2.5-year investment. And there was some, satisfaction in growing in that way. But there was just kind of a lot of questions for a while about whether or not that was really the direction I wanted to go. What I was really seeking after was to be that expert that could have those conversations with surgeons in the OR, really understand the procedure, the clinical benefits. So of course, NP was a natural kind of direction for that, but but being in the OR on a regular basis, rubbing shoulders with reps and having really good relationships with them, it was really just talking to them and building relationships that I started to see myself doing what they did. But it seemed to be such a break in trajectory of the direction I was going when I was already investing so much time and energy and money, to be like, can I now break and go in this opposite direction? So just a lot of questions. I think it was this inner like intuition that I knew I would be a good rep and be great in that position. But it was really kind of being willing to ask the right questions and maybe take a big risk.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because I remember when we first spoke, you were really like, I don't know, is it NP or is it take a chance and go a completely different direction? So, tell us a little bit about how did you find us? How did you discover the medical sales curriculum program?
Okay, so I think it was in that process of trying to discover and learn more about the field of medical device sales. I was looking on LinkedIn, looking at a job post, and I hadn't really been involved in LinkedIn for a while. But I think as I started to do the searches, different things started to come up in my feed, and one of them was your feed with evolve your success and your own profile. Just speaking to the industry, asking all the questions you do on a regular basis, and I think it really spoke to kind of the season in life, the questions that I was asking, and started to make me aware of the community that was out there. And as I started to see all the people that were responding to your post and how engaged they were, and I was like, wow, this is a really interesting community to learn more about. And I think too, what drew me to you and to your program was the kind of the positive framework, the positive messaging, because I know there are misconceptions or stereotypes of medical device field out there, especially being a nurse and being on the clinical side. So I think you kind of putting the character first mentality out there resonated with me and my own character and integrity. So then I just kind of kept reading about you, and I think one of your posts had a link on it if I was interested in more information. So I was like, why not? Did that, and you quickly set up the consultation from there.
Absolutely. We had a conversation, and like I said, you're at a crossroads. Do I continue with my MP education, or do I take a chance and go this direction with medical sales? And then we spoke about it. We spoke about the program, what it offers you, what it can do for you, and we hung up the conversation. When you were on your own and needing to make a decision, walk us through what happened. Were you kind of sold already as soon as you got off the phone? Was it a discussion with the wife or a couple of friends or a mentor or something? And then you said, what, let me look at some more stuff. What actually helped you make the decision to get involved with the program?
I have a great relationship with my wife. So every big decision is something that we spend time talking through. And, when I brought it to her, I knew that she would be one that would give me objective, honest feedback. And if she was just like, no, that makes no sense, then it would have just ended right there. But she was very intrigued, and she saw the possibility in me. And then I just started sharing what I had been learning, shared about the program, the prospects, kind of what I envisioned going from here, and talked about my goals and dreams. And then I think like just even starting to verbalize it to her, starting to verbalize my intentions and not just, kind of that inner dialogue about things, started to make it more real to me. So we made a joint decision together that this was going to be obviously an investment in many respects. And once I had her backing, I was able to make the decision that I was going to go all in with this program.
That is awesome. Let's fast forward to when you joined the program. What were your expectations and what did you actually experience?
Okay. So I remember, at that time I'd been talking to a number of reps in the industry, and I think I was so intrigued about learning how to do the sales side. And I had a sales background, but it had been 10 years. I'd been all clinically based. So I felt like when I entered the program, it was really going to be like how help me develop as a sales medical device sales professional, give me all the tools and skills and know how to do that. And of course, there is a lot of that in the program that you're going to learn and glean along the way that I did, especially from hearing people's stories, your experience, different sales reps' experience. But when it came down to it, what I realized that the program is first and foremost about how to get the job, how to position yourself as the best candidate in the industry, utilizing your know-how to present the value you're going to bring in that role. So you're going to gain an understanding of the program. Gain more understanding of what it meant to be a sales rep, but it wasn't the day in and day out skills and tools. So yeah.
Absolutely. No, you nailed it. The program was about getting the job, getting in and becoming a medical sales rep. And then of course, after that, you'll learn sales. And if you want to continue with us, we have a sales training program. So I love that you identified that. Now I knew you knew it was going into a class environment where you're going to be with other students. What was that like for you being in that class environment?
Took a little bit of getting used to. I hadn't been being in a hospital every day, it's face to face, everything's in person. So getting used to that virtual environment again took a little bit of ramp up time. I took it seriously though. Like I invested, made sure I had the right equipment, everything. And it was interesting because I didn't anticipate it, but it helped me a lot because a majority of my interviews were in person, online through the different video conferencing platforms. So I was much more comfortable when that time came and was prepared. So that was an unexpected outcome, but it ended up being, good practice, good development. And it was fun to see the faces of the other people going through the program with you on a weekly basis. And I mean, there must have been at least like 20 students on average on a call with me. And then, over time, like just hearing people's stories, I would connect with a few of those individuals outside of the class and have conversations with them about our progress and stuff. So it was really nice to have that structure of meeting in person on a weekly basis.
Awesome. So let's fast forward to the offer. Give us play by play. Was it a phone call? Was it an email?
Oh, wow.
What happened?
So I had kind of a little background during the course. I mean, within a month, I started having like strong leads. So that was the fun part. The advantage, I guess, I had coming from a nursing background was I had built all these strong relationships with the reps. Because I mean, just doing my job well, being friendly, being professional. When it came time, and I basically made my intentions known, like, hey, I'm really interested in making the transition. Like, what can you tell me about your industry? Do you know of any openings that would be a good fit for me? Kind of that sort of line. I just got a lot of good reception. So from the beginning, I was getting looks and offers and potential, like, let's send me your resume so I can get in front of this person. And things would a few went up and down. And then like all of a sudden, out of nowhere, one rep that I had talked to that I saw at my facility on a regular basis, she just texted me, was like, hey, got this job opening. They're looking for a clinically oriented person to support products and ORs based out of Denver. Are you interested? I was like, absolutely. Like, send me, the description, read into it. I read it, and it's the job I got. But it at the time I didn't know anything about the product, but it was in minimally invasive surgery. It was in GYN, which was a space I was very comfortable from doing robotic surgery. I was like, wow, this job must have really been made for me. And I was, so appreciative. But then from that moment to the last interview was, I think it took 2 weeks. And I went through a recruiter interview. I went through the hiring manager through a video call. And then one of the memorable parts was, I remember we were taking a little weekend trip for the kids to this water park. We checked into the hotel. And as I'm about to get to my room, they're like, hey, we want you to fly to Orlando on Monday. This was a Friday. We want you to fly to Orlando on Monday for final interview with the senior director and VP. And so in HR, and I was like, Monday? So that was my first taste of what the life was going to be like. Got everything set up, went there on Monday. Was fully prepared with all the tools that you gave me. I actually gave you a call while I was at that hotel.
I remember.
Got some final final prep work. You told me the things to focus on because I didn't have a ton of time since it happened so fast. I went, flew all the way to Orlando for basically an hour interview and then flew home to Denver. The next day I went to work, got the call, said, we'd like to bring you on. Here's the offer. And man, I couldn't have been happier.
That's awesome.
I couldn't, I was so happy.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I remember that you were. It was a proud moment for all of us. It was absolutely wonderful. So, I guess, Brad, what would you share with the audience? People listening right now, they were in the same position you were. They want to get into medical sales. They're probably weighing out different options to try to get the help or whatever resources they can. What would you share with the audience that they should do when kind of pursuing this career track?
Yeah, well, I know you have a pretty, broad audience out there. I kind of like to speak to, people with a similar background to me specifically. I know being in the industry, being in the clinical side, being a nurse, whether you're in the OR or not, I know there's a lot of people kind of like considering, what the best path is for me. And there's lots of reasons to kind of think about that. But I would just say to anybody who has had that kind of internal conversation, or even just a few conversations here and there, just take one action to kind of act on that. As simple as, talking to your reps a little bit more that are in the room with you or that you see in the hospital on a regular basis. You're like, hey, I see you around. I'm really interested in what you do. Can you tell me more about it? It's just gaining some clarity on what it is you see doing instead of just kind of stereotypes. And then I would say, take another step and like I did, process it with a trusted friend, spouse, whoever, somebody who can be honest with you, give you objective feedback, say, so it's not just something, that like you really have some tooth in the game. And then whenever I would say, do your due diligence, relearn as much as you can. But then, if that internal drive is still there and you can't shake it, take a risk. There's programs like Evolve Your Success that are available. If you connect with Samuel and learn more, connect with, former alumni like myself that can talk to you about their experience, all that's going to help. But in the end, it really is up to you. And a lot of times there are like two roads in life. I mean, I had one that was pretty clearly laid out, that was successful. I would have been proud of. A lot of people would have been proud of me. But I knew like deep down that there was something else for me, something more. Yes, I wanted to make more money, but honestly, what the deep drive was that desire to be a clinical expert, to have more meaningful conversations with surgeons on a regular basis when I'm in the OR. And unfortunately, as a nurse, I really couldn't do that. I was so task oriented, had to execute so much that my attention was too divided. I couldn't always focus on the procedure, be as close to the action as possible, and be a part of all the conversations and go deeper like I would like to and be seen as an expert. And it's eventually, if you take that risk on yourself like I did, you'll find out that there's big rewards on the other side. And that's the best part is, I got the job, and many people that go through this program will get the job. I know a lot of them, they're so happy that they went through it, put the time, energy, investment in to do that. But what is kind of even more amazing on the opposite side is now you realize there's actually more risks to take. There's more rewards, and it sets you up to build more confidence in yourself. I have so much more confidence in myself and what's possible in the future. It's really interesting. I feel like I kind of say this on occasion now, but before I could have told you what I was going to do 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road. Now I can't really tell you what I'm going to do in the next month, definitely not the next year or two, but I know I have so much more opportunity and possibilities ahead of me that I'm more excited about, and life is just much more interesting and fun.
Man, I was going to ask you, how has life changed? But you kind of nailed it on that answer there. Everything's different. I know your of course your income's gone up significantly, and and the pace of life is a lot different now. Would you say?
Definitely. I mean, I'd be glad to share. Like, I, make over double what I did as a nurse. So, that's amazing when I got a wife and two little kids. So to be able to provide for them and the current situation and future feels great. And then just, yeah, I had, there's lots of flexibility, not having to do the regular 8, 10, 12-hour day at a facility all day long, had the flexibility of being home. I was able to spend a lot of quality time during the holidays, and then getting to travel to some new exciting cities, change it up, go to different facilities, meet different surgeons, meet different staff on a regular basis, and again, carry out my purpose on a regular basis, which is to help women out there get the best outcomes. And, I get to work with great teams and surgeons and just ensure that they get the best help they need on a regular basis so that they can be experts in what they do.
That is fantastic. One more question I got for you, Brad. And if there's nothing, then you can say so. But what's been the biggest? You anticipated what this career would be like in the field, like when you're actually working. What's been the biggest surprise that you've experienced in working? Now that you're actually doing the job, is there anything that's been like, wow, I didn't know about this?
It's probably a few things, but I would say like one of the bigger surprises is the level of independence and autonomy. So, I mean, going from, clinical where you go and things are, mostly regimented, you have like goals and tasks each day that are pretty well defined. And now it's, now I'm on my own. I mean, of course, I work with a great team. I have other product specialists with me. I have an area manager. I work with territory managers, regional sales managers. So our team is vast and broad, and there's lots of support and development and, conversations about what to do. But essentially, I've had to learn and grow in utilizing my strategy skills, knowing what to focus on at what time, building my own schedule, making calls when I need to, making arrangements to get to cases all across different states and, show up. And a lot of times I'm hardly checked on. I'm just expected to do my job and do it well. And so, yeah, that level of independence and autonomy was something I didn't really kind of envision or think about before I made the transition.
That's exciting. Awesome. Brad, this is all music to my ears. I love the experience you're having. Okay. Well, thank you for spending time with us. We're going to bring it to a close. I know you got to get back to this wonderful life that you're leading, but I want to ask you 4 questions in our lightning round. Are you ready?
Oh, let's do this.
All right. So what is the best book you have read in the last 6 months?
Well, this would be a little bit interesting one, but now that I've been on the road a bit, I'm mostly reading instruction manuals and stuff to learn, but at night I'll hit up an Audible book. So one of the most recent ones, I'm a big C.S. Lewis fan, and one of his classics is called Screw Tape Letters. So if you're ever interested in kind of a flip on morality and learning about what evil thinks from an evil perspective, even though you're trying to live like a moral, spiritual life, it's a really, really interesting take. Yeah.
I like it. I'm not going to say I've read that because, gosh, it was years ago that I came across that book. And I can't remember if I even tried to give it a good read, but I keep hearing it brought back up, the Screw Tape Letters. So I'm definitely going to have to check that out. Okay. What is the best TV show or movie you've seen in the last 6 months?
Okay. Well, I got a better answer for that, I guess. But I've been watching the Recruit. It's funny because it's on a Netflix series about a new lawyer that gets hired at the CAA, but he essentially gets wrapped up on all these crazy operations along the way from the get-go as he's trying to learn how to navigate the CIA and all of the one-upmanship and playing and jockeying for position and leverage and all the politics involved. So pretty cool, interesting story. it's funny because my wife is usually the one that will recommend them, and then we'll watch them together, but she'll fall asleep or something, so I'll just be watching it myself. And I try to choose ones like that that's only like, I think it's like 8 episodes long, so that I don't get caught up forever in a show, and I can just get it done and move on to the next thing.
I get it. What a time to be alive. That's how I'll say it. Okay. Best food you've had in the past 6 months?
Ooh, it's a good one. All right. So fun thing about, traveling is getting to eat on the road and maybe eat a little bit better than I would normally do at times. And so one of the hotels I've been staying at in Salt Lake City has a steakhouse in there, but I didn't get the steak. I got the salmon, and it was cooked to perfection, and it had the skin crispy on it, which we always try to do, but never turns out crispy. It turns out soggy. So we just pull it off. And so this one you're actually able to eat. I'm not sure if you're supposed to eat it, but I ate it because it was so crispy and good. So yeah, the crispy salmon.
You can't say all that and not give us the name. You're killing me here, Brad.
The name of the restaurant?
Yep.
Oh, it's called Spencer's Steakhouse.
Spencer's Steakhouse in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Salt Lake City.
Perfect. All right. And then lastly, best experience you've had in the last 6 months. I think I know the answer, but please share.
Ooh, makes me intrigued about what you would think my answer is. I'm going to say, so like, again, kind of referencing the fact that I got to spend more quality time, was flexible with my schedule. My wife and I celebrated our 10-year wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And because I had the time, we got our in-laws to come watch the kids all the way from Texas. And we took a weekend trip to Vail. And not only was that amazing and beautiful staying in the resort there, but crazy long story that I'll make short was there was this ice skating show there that was sold out. And the reason it was sold out was because Nathan Chen was skating, the gold medalist from the last Winter Olympics, the U.S. figure skater. And long story short, we were out one day and I made a connection with somebody. We kept seeing him throughout the day, and it ended up being the mom of a girl who worked at the gate, worked at the event. So she said, go up there and my daughter will give you some tickets. So we got free tickets to the show and watched some amazing performances. My first figure skating show to ever watch, and Nathan Chen performed his gold medal winning performance. And it was such a cool experience.
Okay, now I wasn't going to guess that. I was over here thinking, but that tops it. That is awesome. On your 10th year anniversary. That is beautiful, man. Brad, it was a true joy having you spend time with us on the Medical Sales Podcast. I'm so proud of you, man. You've come such a long way, and you're making amazing things happen. And like you said it yourself, a whole new spin on life with a whole new outlook. And who knows what amazing things you have to come. We're going to be watching you the whole way. We can't wait to see what comes next. So again, Brad, thank you for being on the show.
Hey, thanks. Thanks, Sam, for having me. It was my first podcast ever, so hope to do more. And best of luck to you and all the students that go through your program.
Absolutely. Thank you. And that was Bradley Sadri. It's truly a treat to hear someone go through the program and literally change their life. That's why we do it. That's why Evolve Success exists. That's why the Medical Sales Career Builder exists. It's a beautiful thing to see. And Bradley is a living testimony of someone that wanted something, took the right steps to make it happen, and is living a completely different life. And I want the same for you. If you want to get into medical sales or pharmaceutical sales or some type of sales within healthcare, you have avenues. And you have a number of avenues, to be honest. But if you've been listening to this podcast for any number of episodes, for any amount of time, then you absolutely know you have one avenue right here that has worked for so many people. Over 200 people have gotten positions in companies that they absolutely love, and they're living careers that they've previously only dreamed of. And this could be you. You don't have to wait 3 years or just trial and error every single day and then weeks and then months. And no, you have the opportunity to follow a method, a strategy that has worked for so many people. Let me be brutally honest here. Some people, that strategy works in 5 weeks. Some people, that strategy works in 6 or 7 months. And for the lion's share of people, that strategy works in 3 to 4 months. But what I do know is without that strategy, they think it's what they want. They do it for 3 or 4 months and they hate it. And then they leave a bad taste in the employer's mouth. There's a bad taste in their mouth. And anyone that gets to hear about their medical sales experience also is left with a bad taste. That doesn't have to be. Why not find out what medical sales field makes sense for you? Why not find out what specialty you should be in based on what you desire out of life, the money you want to make, the lifestyle you want to have, the impact you want to make? When you can align yourself to the right field, learn the strategies to make the right impression, and get access to the right people, you're going to find yourself in a career that you will love. And that's what we're offering here with the Medical Sales Career Builder. So if you're in that situation where you know this is a move you've been wanting to make, take a step in a very serious direction. Visit evolveyoursuccess.com, select Attain Medical Sales Role, submit an application, and have a conversation with someone from our team here at Evolve Your Success. And let's get you to where you want to be. And I have a special note that I want to leave for everyone listening today. Our podcast has been going now for almost 3 years, over 128 episodes. And I could be off on one episode or two, but we're approaching 130 episodes if we haven't already passed it. And if you've been listening and you love this podcast, then I want you to do us a solid. I want you to go to Apple iTunes and I want you to rate this podcast. If you love these episodes, you love hearing these stories, and they have either helped you in the field or helped you get a position or led you to work with the Medical Sales Career Builder and then got a position, whatever your story is that this podcast has had the opportunity to be a part of, I want you to go to Apple iTunes and I want you to rate a 5-star rating on Apple iTunes and leave us a comment on, or write a review on what you are learning from these episodes. We want to hear from you. We do this because we want everyone to understand how vast the medical sales world is. And, I'll even say this so that it's more encompassing. The healthcare sales world is. We want you to understand how vast it is. We want you to see where you fit in it, Whether you're in a current role already and you're looking to transition or you're trying to break in, we want you to know as much as possible, which is why we do what we do here. So do us a solid. Go to Apple iTunes, rate us 5 stars, leave a review, and of course, make sure you come back next week for another episode of the Medical Sales Podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I have a couple programs that show you exactly how to break into the medical sales industry, become a top-performing medical sales professional, and also how to masterfully navigate your career to executive level leadership. Check out these programs and learn more at evolveyoursuccess.com. Stay tuned for more awesome content with amazing interviews.